What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Chris's Custom Collectibles, and today we are finally going to be pimping out the Jakks Pacific Captain Cody figure. Now, you guys have probably seen this Captain Cody figure lingering in the background for months now, and that's because I had no idea in terms of what to do to him, how I wanted him to look, how to pose him. And then my buddy Cameron, you guys know him as the man that sent me all my Pirate Batman stuff and the Pirate Batman treasure chest, said, why don't you pose him like he's got the Emperor Palpatine hologram? Cam actually sent me a little Emperor Palpatine hologram figure to go with it. Originally, I was gonna sculpt him, I was gonna take a mold of him, but if it's ready made and it's good to go, then screw it, we're gonna use it. So a big thank you to my buddy Cameron for the inspiration and the Palpatine holographic figure. Now, in the film, Captain Cody is holding the Palpatine hologram in his right hand, but because the figure is holding a gun that is locked in place, we're gonna have to have him on the left hand. So what I'm thinking is, we're gonna have the left hand, we're gonna have to modify it so it's upright like so, still have the hand with the gun, but just downright, so just checking in with Palpatine about what to do. Now, I do want this to be a light up feature, so what I'm thinking is getting a little LED torch from Bunnings Warehouse, mounting the little holographic figure on top, and using those LEDs to make it shine through and look like it's glowing. And of course, we're gonna be making a custom base for this guy, pretty much the same method as the Master Chief from Jakks Pacific, but more desert and dry. It's gonna be a fun project, we're finally doing it, so with that being said, let's get to it. Okay, now that the armor's been separated and I've smoothed off all the areas and I'm happy with how I'm going to be placing the bend in the arm, I'm going to go in with some Duramax from Dulux. Now, this is a clear primer, and what this essentially is going to do is help the bond when it comes to gluing these two pieces of plastic together. Now, for those who have seen my previous custom collectibles, polypropylene is an absolute punish to glue together, and to help, we have this from Selleys. This is plastic fix, so it comes with a primer pen, so I will be running the primer pen all the way around the perimeter of this and the forearm, and then we've got the glue that comes with it, and that should bond the two plastics together. Alrighty, whilst we're waiting for that primer to dry, I'm going to go in and start to flatten out the hand. Now, as you can see right here, it's in a position where it's ready to hold a gun. We need it flat so it can house the Emperor Palpatine hologram. So what I'm going to do is hit it with a bit of heat, and then we're just going to flatten it out in my table vise here, and seriously, that's it. We're going to let it set so the plastic is realigned in the straight position.
Hello, it is once again time for my shitty commentary. Alright, so we've obviously got to fill in that little void there on the elbow joint. Now, this is a little fix-it putty I got from Bunnings Warehouse. It actually has a core, and when you mix the two together, that's when it activates and starts the curing process. So I did have to build up quite a bit there in the joint because there was a massive gap in there, and we just couldn't have it as a log because it eventually would crumble down. And I'm just replicating the undersuit there just with a little screwdriver. And we're just going to go over it with some matte black Model Masters paint, and it blends in perfectly. And all up, this took about 45 minutes. Now it's time to weather up this armor. I'm just going in with some sandpaper and just sanding off bits of that insignia all over the armor. And then we're just going to go in with, again, some Model Masters flat black. And essentially we're just going to be dry brushing. You want paint on the brush, but very sparingly, all over the edges of the armor and just scuff marks all over the surfaces. I've also sanded away that little electronic pad there on the left hand side of his chest, and this is for the entire figure, guys. This method applies everywhere, including the belt, the under armor, and also dry brushing bits of white on the yellow portions of the armor, like the shoulder pads and the knee pads. Now, in my opinion, the dirtiest part of Cody, that sounds so bad, is his boots, and that would make a lot of sense. The rest of the armor is quite scuffed and does have a lot of black marks on it, but it's not overall, soiled and dirty. So I'm just going in with some Creators Effects, the Testors ink. And now I'm just getting some Model Masters silver and dry brushing over his gun, because at the moment it was just a matte black and just very plain looking. Whereas doing this will pick up all that beautiful detail, as you can see right there. Okay, let's talk about the lighting system. Now, ideally, we want to have him placed here in Cody's hand, but he just looks plain. We've got to have him lit up. So what I did was I just bought a cheap LED torch from Bunnings Warehouse, and he fits in there perfectly. I mean, how good is that? He was made for it. So what I'm going to be doing is removing this section here. You can see we've got all the circuitry in there. So we've got a battery pack here that houses 4 AAAs. So I'm going to be soldering from here to these wires straight into the back or the front of the torch here. And I will be shortening it here just a little so it looks like a little platform for the hologram to project on. Simple, cheap, and easy. And those methods always work the best, guys. So I will be cutting a hole in the hand here when we place the top on like so. Wires will be threaded through the hand, through the arm, out the back of the arm. The battery pack will then be mounted into the back of Cody himself. Okay, now that the figure itself is pretty much complete, we've got to complement it with a base. Now, I'm not going for something that's flashy and, really stands out. I want this to be a simple base, yet effective, and it's just essentially going to be like the battleground from the film. Now this is just bits of foam that I'm crushing up. These are actually the offcuts, and whatever ones I choose will be bits of, rock formation that's going to be surrounding Cody. Now I'm just gluing them in place with some hobby glue, and it sticks like shit to a blanket when it comes to foam. It's so easy. Now I do want a little explosion point, like a little landmine has gone off. So what I'm doing now is just carving that into the foam. I'm gonna dig it out with a screwdriver and also a little sculpting tool. Now it's time to highlight all the detail on the surface, and I'm just getting some watered down brown shoe polish, and that just gets into the crevices of all the foam, all the pores of the foam, and it makes it look a lot more like desert rock, which is really weird. I stumbled upon this method by accident. And you guys know this method from my previous custom collectibles, a bit of dirt from my driveway, some PVA glue, spritz it all over, and it's kindergarten stuff, guys. It's all self-explanatory. Here we go. Yay! Look at that! I'm a big kid. And now I'm just getting some student black acrylic and just going in and making charring effects in that little explosion point there, just very wispily all over. And then I'm going to go in with some flat black from Rust-Oleum. I'm just spritzing it all over the entire base to make it look like a charred effect, like even charred points on the rocks where the explosion has taken place. And just some more matte black around the perimeter of the base, and it's done. We're all good to go. Now the final step is just to put a bit of sand with some PVA glue all around Cody's boots and even on his knee pads, because it makes sense, you know, he's going to collect quite a bit of dirt on his boots there, guys, and that is the final step. We're good to go. We are good for the final reveal.
So thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this custom collectible video. I'm over the moon with how he turned out. It's simple yet effective. Now it is the month of December, so that means a lot more Star Wars custom collectibles. I got one sitting over there, I got one sitting over there. I can't show you guys now to ruin the surprise. I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. Be merry, be silly, and until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.